If you heard fighter jets overhead today, it was all planned. It was the 180th Fighter Wing conducting training maneuvers.
2 readiness exercises are required every 5 years, and Chief Photojournalist Paul Kwapik takes us to the flight line of today's training.
Over the course of the last week, the 180th Fighter Wing has been conducted a large-scale readiness exercise, which we're practicing mobilizing and deploying our F-16s for major combat operations overseas. What that consisted of was launching 12 to 14 F-16 aircraft, as well as building up and moving 260 tons of cargo, as well as 330 personnel to support combat or simulated combat operations overseas. So what you saw today was just a small, even though it was the culminating event, it was just a small portion of what we've been doing up to this point for the last 3 days. In a large scale exercise like this, we're going to make it as hard as possible. You know, because we know combat is going to be hard. We can't simulate the fog and the friction that's going to go on in a combat environment. So into training and an exercise like this, we're going to make it hard. And so did we learn a lot of lessons? I mean, we absolutely have. And that's the whole point of training and getting ready, is making sure we learn the lessons. So when we have to do it for real, they're ingrained and we're a more effective combat operation. There's just a lot of pride in knowing that the whole machine is coming together to launch those aircraft. And it's a whole wing effort. We normally have about 500 full-time folks. We mobilized the whole wing, so 1,000 airmen are on this base right now to make those 12 jets happen, move that cargo, and process those people. So the jets that took off today, because it's a training mission, we're just doing a readiness exercise to prepare for combat operations. All they're doing is flying up and doing a routine training mission. Now, if this was for real and we're really generating those aircraft to go overseas, right now they'd be airborne, they'd be rendezvousing with an air refueling tanker. And in this case, we practiced going over to Europe, so they'd be air refueling about 10 to 12 times on their way over into the European theater. So even though right today they're doing the training mission, in real combat, they'd be linking up with the air refueler flying over the Atlantic. You know, I'm going to measure the grade of this exercise in terms of how much did we learn. Again, we made it challenging, so there's definitely things that we are learning from it and areas that we can do better. But from an innovation and a learning perspective, I give it a solid A.